You just draw.
Oh gosh, this is beautiful.
Is it on? It's supposed to be recording. Oh, right, good.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Justin is going
Hi
to
class.
draw for us. He's going to start. We're going to do some supply and demand curve shifts so that you can learn how this actually works outside of the connect, grab, and shift, because I know that can be challenging. So we're going to look and learn from the board.
And my
Okay?
mistakes.
And we're going to have volunteers. All right, so let's see, Justin, you can start here.
Alright.
All right, Justin's going to start with a simple example. We're going to give him a tropical fruit. Have we done that one yet?
Tropical fruit like a mango.
What are we
All right,
gonna
guavas. All right, so our quantity here will be guavas. And we're going to need an equilibrium price and quantity. Want to give him an equilibrium price?
75.
$7.
Expensive.
$5.
Inflation.
How many you're getting?
All right, let's go with 5. That's
Okay.
pretty expensive guava, so let's go with 5. No, is that
Oh,
the
no,
price?
yeah. No.
No, okay,
Well,
good.
what did I do wrong, class?
Yes, what did you do wrong?
Not on the price one. You did the
Where does
quantity.
price go?
Right
On the
there.
vertical.
For
Alright.
the price, yes, the vertical.
So does this get erased?
Yeah, the $5.
Yeah, that gets erased. Now remember, price is per unit, but quantity is total. So how many guavas?
So you want to do 5 guava for $5 or no?
No, because we have
Five.
an industry, so we're going to sell more than 5 guavas.
Okay.
75 guavas.
But that's still a small industry.
Okay, 75,000 guavas.
200.
All right. let's
5
move on.
times 10 to the, what, 200?
All right, now this is our equilibrium, right? And if nothing changes, and nothing means a determinant, and determinants are, of course, for supply and determinants for demand. So if nothing changes, we stay in equilibrium, right?
Hey, hold on. Should we put satiric this on here?
No, not yet, because we are going to change something. So this is our equilibrium, which would last if nothing changed, but we are going to change, and we have a tropical fruit, and we're going to have a freeze. So we have to figure out what we're going to do to reforecast our price and our quantity. Okay? So right up there, freeze.
Freeze?
Mm-hmm.
So a freeze is gonna happen here.
Yes, the freeze is going to happen.
And then what's that gonna do?
Well, that's what you
determinant?
guys are going to tell me, but you're going to switch your markers. All right, so freeze, tropical fruit. What can we expect to happen?
Supply goes down?
Yeah, supply would certainly decrease because the product is some of the product would freeze, die, not be good. So it would simply decrease the supply. Again, the entire curve would shift, right?
Which way?
Because, which way?
To the left.
To the left. So the entire curve of supply is going to shift left, showing less at every price level. And put S1. Okay. Now, demand. Did a determinant of demand change?
That smells good.
No.
No, stay constant.
Okay, when you stop sniffing the marker, we'll look at demand and say that no determinant of demand has changed, right? This was
We
just
wanna
something that happened to production.
We can draw a line here. We can see the change here.
This is the new.
So we will not shift demand because nothing has changed to discourage or encourage the love, hate, whatever indifference that you have for guavas. So no real determinant of demand change. So we only shift supply and put a little arrow showing left. And then we can get the new PE and QE. Okay, the new price and quantity. So go ahead and give us a new price and a new quantity, and then we'll summarize that. Okay, it has to be higher than what?
5.
Five.
What do we want?
7 or 8.
Let's do 7.
Okay.
And then what quantity do you guys want to go with?
160.
160. Let's go with this. And so we can also put on here then the quantity decrease.
All
Helpful.
right.
And we can
But we
also
want to
put
call that QE.
QE.
Mhm.
And then we can also say for the price, the
Mhm.
price equilibrium increase.
Very good. And you can also just put B here and just put a line over it, meaning it didn't shift.
That's what you put for constant? Or excuse me,
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that.
That's fine. That's perfect. All right. Everybody good with that? Okay. All right, next volunteer. No, don't erase. I want you to copy it. So we'll just kind of work down so that we can.
Okay, there you go.
It's fine.
Let's try a little more challenging one. Well, we're gonna do two things, so we need to have two things that go together, okay? So I need one more volunteer.
Okay.
Come on, somebody come up, I need one more volunteer. All right, great, Taylor.
Okay.
All right, so now, we're gonna draw oil, and we're gonna draw, let's see, stay within the camera range, so stay kind of over there. Let's see.
I can like do it through here, or the string.
I'll just angle it a little bit, start right there, and then Taylor, do right there.
Okay.
If you put it on the one behind it, the table behind it,
What was
it should be
mine?
a bigger angle.
I was a little concerned about hearing. They suggested I put it in the first row to hear. So we'll see what happens.
I did the same thing.
What was mine? Okay, now, Taylor needs a fuel-efficient car. We want to look at the effects of that industry to the fuel-efficient car. Do we have a fuel-efficient car?
Did you do a Honda last semester?
Prius.
I don't remember. Probably, everybody loves the
Something like
Prius,
that,
so
yeah.
let's go ahead and do that. All right, now we need equilibriums in both of these.
Well.
What should our prices be? I don't know, what's the price of a Prius?
Let's go 2K. Oh, wait, that's way.
25,000.
Huh?
25,000 for 40.
Let's go realistic. Yeah.
25,000, okay. And how many will be sold in the industry?
One.
No.
3.
It's a total in the industry, so what are we looking at? Maybe 1,000, 8,000, something like that?
2,000?
Okay, it's up to you, but thousands, yeah.
All right, let's just do 10,000.
Okay, because remember again, quantity is total and price is per unit, so it's 25,000 each. All right, and then oil, let's you do PE and QE, because I don't know what a barrel of oil is going for, and quite frankly, there's, how much?
85 for 55 gallon.
Barrel, okay. You can do that, or you can do,
85?
yeah. And remember to draw nice and big so everybody can see it, okay. All right, now, I want to present to you some terminology. First of all, we saw the term shortage, and it was based on what kind of regulation?
Taxes? Wait.
Well, we did a graph, and it revealed a shortage, and what was the situation that revealed that shortage? The last time we did it.
Was it the price floor?
It was not a floor, but a what?
Ceiling.
Ceiling, okay, good, we got it. Price ceiling. So the last time we saw a shortage, it was because the price ceiling was placed where in regards to equilibrium?
Above.
Was it?
Below.
No, it was below the equilibrium. And when it was below the equilibrium, because it can't move up, then it created a shortage. All right, that's a regulation. But this is going to be a different situation. We're going to use the term shortage to indicate that the production or supply is actually manipulating the situation, okay? In other words, they're determining not to produce for whatever reason. They don't want to produce as much. So we can also use the term for that. In that case, if they're just simply reducing what they're producing, what would happen to our supply curve?
Reducing production would reduce quantity supply.
Nope. If we lost guavas because of a freeze, what's going to happen if they simply don't drill for oil? There's going to be less, right?
Yeah.
So once again, we're going to have a less shift of supply. Now, why would they actually do that? So go ahead and shift supply left if you would.
What do you need me to do on the pump?
Yeah, red is good. So make sure you have that on the eye. All right, so in that regards, they're deliberately manipulating the supply, and what is their end game? What do you think their end game would be for doing that?
Oh, Harvard
Increase
now
the
that's
price.
over here.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to
The
increase.
slope's different.
They're doing that to increase the price. All right, so just put a little left arrow and an S1. So they're trying to increase the price. Now, they won't leave it that way, because if they left it that way, the profit potential, the opportunity cost would go up. The profit potential to seek alternatives would be there, and they would lose their control. So they're not going to leave it like that indefinitely, but they will leave it that way a while to increase their profit, increase their revenue. Okay? So we can get a new price and quantity. Demand will not change. This is a deliberate manipulation from production. New price and quantity? Anyone?
95,
Okay.
We never said the quantity, but, okay.
All right, so what we need to do, if we're not gonna do quantity, is we're just gonna need to do a little arrow showing that the quantity equilibrium decrease.
Okay.
All right, perfect. So, let's summarize this as well. Let's do SD, PEQE, okay?
This went down.
Mm-hmm,
The price went up.
mm-hmm,
Demand stayed the same.
mm-hmm.
And quantity went down.
Okay, perfect. Everyone agree?
Agree.
All right, good. Okay, I was like, that's it? No, we're done. Okay, all right, so now we have a situation where oil prices are rising. Okay, in the macro economy, this is very serious because oil is an input to basically making what?
Gasoline.
Gasoline
Petroleum products.
and petroleum products and fuel, okay? So whenever you have overhead of many, many industries, even a small ripple can cause a big macro disequilibrium. This is why in the macroeconomy, they track oil and fuel as an economic indicator because it has a pretty significant impact. Okay, with that said, let's make the conclusion that as oil price rises, gas price rises. Okay, so let's make that assumption. As oil price rises, gas price rises. Good. Now, we're looking at two scenarios of oil and fuel in general. How is that going to affect the production, the supply and demand of our Prius? Okay?
Since prices of gas is rising, then the price of a Prius would also rise because the demand would increase for a more fuel efficient car.
Okay, does that sound logical? Yes, in fact, if this is the scenario and we see rising fuel prices, we can see an increase in demand for this fuel-efficient car. If we were looking at a luxury car, we'd see the exact opposite. Okay, so what's she going to do with demand?
Shift it right.
Shift it right. Okay, very good. All right, now, again, this doesn't mean that everybody in the world is going to run out and buy a Prius just because the gas price rose, but those people that are in the market to buy a new car, this is going to start to look better. Okay, make sense? All right. So now, supply. What's going to happen with supply?
Be constant, or it would go up as well.
Would they produce more?
You're making money off it.
No, now that we don't want to confuse quantity supply with supply. In other words, a determinant has to change to cause supply to shift. Is there anything in this scenario that might make it more expensive or difficult to produce?
Not directly, no.
All right, if we have just the overhead, we can make the case that maybe it's not significant enough to shift our supply. But if we have a car that's built from a polymer plastic, do we have another problem?
As oil decreases, you can't get product to make the polymer.
Okay, if oil prices are going up, then an input to actual direct manufacturing is going to be affected. And that we can pretty much bet will cause a shift. So if it's going to be more expensive to produce this Prius, what's going to happen to supply?
A decrease.
He says decrease. Is that our agreement? If it's harder, if it's more difficult or more costly to produce, supply always shifts
Left.
left. Okay? So if that's the case, then we can make the argument that in this industry, supply would shift left. All right, so go ahead and do that. So depending on the situation, supply may shift left. If polymers are not a major contribution, supply would not change. What's the one thing we know is not going to happen?
Either of them gonna go down.
That supply would not shift right, okay? Making it more expensive, anything more expensive, whether overhead or direct production, anything more expensive is not going to increase supply, it's going to decrease it. Okay, so the one thing supply won't do is shift right. All right, so now that we've analyzed this, we can see demand increasing, supply decreasing. Let's summarize and see what we've got here.
So supply down, right, and then
Mhm.
demand goes up.
Demand went up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And
good.
then the price went up as well.
Yes, absolute no-brainer there, right? Because if supply decreases and demand increases, both of those put upward pressure on price. No question about it, price is going to increase. How about quantity?
Constant.
If we follow our new quantity kind of right on down, just go ahead and follow it right on down.
It should be the bottom.
All right, we find that we didn't get much of any change in quantity, okay? Now, you're supposed to be drawing this, so you could have drawn it where equilibrium quantity went up, or you could have drawn it where equilibrium quantity went down. Why? What's really happening? Why did we not see a change there? What did she do that we don't see a change?
We shifted twice.
We did, and the curves are going in different directions, okay? One's going left, one's going right. So if one goes left and one goes right,
Cancels out, but
if they're shifted in the same proportion, it's going to cancel out, right? So in this particular case, because she shifted them pretty close, the same amount, then you don't see a change in quantity. If you shifted supply more when you drew it, then you would see quantity do what?
Go down.
Go down. And if you shifted demand more, you would actually see quantity go up. Okay, good. So this is the scenario that we're looking at now, depending on who reacts more, supply or demand. But in this particular case, you drew them pretty proportionally, and that makes sense. Now, again, demand wanted more, so that would have been a movement along this curve here, but at the same time, supply shifted back, so then we have another movement, and that's how we end up with our new equilibrium. All right? So if just demand had increased, then yes, more quantity would have been provided, but supply decreased, and that canceled it out. All right, any questions on that? Okay. All right, guys in the back, are working on your workbook or whatever, you should really be focusing here and copying this, because this is beyond your test, okay? All right, oil, Prius, this, we're gonna skip the other, okay, next one, trucks. Let's look at some trucks, okay? Who can come up and draw us for us some trucks?
I'll draw the truck.
I sure appreciate that, Justin. You're a great volunteer. All right, can anybody else like to get up and participate and help out here with the shifting? We need come on, I got this camera on, we need somebody to come up and shift some more. We'll help you. All right, it's gonna draw for us a truck.
You gotta pimp the truck out.
All right, let's.
You're all in a truck.
Let's draw an equilibrium for the F-150. All right, let's give them an equilibrium price. Is it still recording?
Yeah, I can make it a little bit better. 100K. Too much?
For a truck?
Way too much. That's a landfill price, man.
50K. I don't know trucks. I thought trucks were expensive.
Well, yeah, but that's
That-
way.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know.
Unless you want to.
Doesn't what you did with all the other ones.
This one was 25,000, I don't think a truck would be.
For 10,000 cars?
That's the total in the market, so if this is the F-150 market,
3.
no, this is backwards, okay? We want the price per unit, so
Okay.
what would you pay per truck? Probably 35, 40?
40.
Okay, so let's put 40,000 there, and then
Is it commercial
the
or-
number of trucks that would be sold in the industry would be Again, here we're looking at 10,000.
So it's how much you sold
No.
for that
Yeah.
price, not-
5,000,
5,000.
industry, so you can do 5K.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
So it's how many you sold at that price, not how many you sold for that
Right,
price.
okay.
Okay.
Yes, because we have an equilibrium, so we have an actual transaction. Each truck 40,000, 5,000 trucks.
And this is theoretical too, right? It's not really saying this is going to happen. This just can't happen. This-
Yeah, well, this is, we're making up examples
Yeah.
here, obviously.
No, no,
You know,
no.
but this is what would happen in the market. You pick a certain truck or a certain brand, and
Yeah.
then whatever the price on average sold, that would be your equilibrium. Yeah. All right, so now we have a classic problem with Ford, and they tend to have brake problems. So let's say we have a bad brake drum, and we have to recall that bad brake drum. Now what do we do?
The demand would decrease.
All right, I hear demand decrease. Does everyone agree?
Yes.
What's the logic there?
So demand would go left, shift.
Yes, demand would shift left if it decreased. Good. Why is it decreasing? What's changed?
Consumers are like, hey, I can get different cars, even better.
Okay, we have new information, right? New information, which is a determinant of demand, and is bad information. So indeed, demand would shift left, it would not shift right in this situation. Okay, very good. So go ahead and put like a D1 or D mu there. All right, again, supply may be a little trickier. Now, did we label our axis? Good, because we want to remember we're graphing trucks, not drums. So, in that case, we have a bad drum, we have a recall. What, if anything, do we think is going to happen in production? What are some thoughts?
Too much supply. That'd be more supply than.
Well, no, because the recall's on those that already exist, so that you can't do anything with those.
Stay the same, right?
Hmm?
Would the supply not stay the same?
Okay, why would that happen?
Because at that point, they would just start manufacturing the trucks with the fixed parts, I guess.
All right, that is certainly, yes, go ahead.
Wouldn't there be a surplus though, because there's all the trucks that might already not be issued, but they're not?
Yeah, but those are not for sale.
Okay.
Those are just being brought back into fix,
Well,
which
what
is,
if they were like produced but they don't have?
well,
Yeah,
then they have to be fixed. Absolutely, absolutely. So we have two good concepts here, right? One scenario is these brake drums, remember, those that are brought in, already sold, that's not our concern. Our focus is what's to be sold. So those brought in will be handled differently in a separate area. So our concern is production. Now, one possibility brought up, and it's a good one, that the brake drums will just be fixed, swapped out, and there's not going to be much disruption to the supply. All right? Agree with that? I would buy that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that's a very legit possibility. The other scenario brought up is that it actually is going to cause a slowdown in production to try to fix what's wrong. Okay? In that case, if that were the case, supply would do what?
Supply would decrease.
Okay, supply would decrease or shift left. So either one of these possibilities I could buy. What would I not buy? Supply doing what?
Increasing.
Shifting right, yes. There's no justification for supply to shift right. Okay, so you're in charge. Are we going to fix it right, automatically, or are you going to reduce supply?
Oh, I was gonna do that, but I didn't know if you wanted me to.
Okay. So he's going to say there's a disruption in the supply, the production slows down, and so he's going to shift it left. All right, in that case, we need to find a new equilibrium. All right, so again, we go to new equilibrium, we go to the new curves. If there's just one shifting, then, you know, new and old, but if there's two shifting, both new curves. All right, let's see what we've got here. Hopefully we're seeing that. All right, so if we step back, we see that supply went left. Demand also went left, so now both curves are shifting the same. Is there any question what's going to happen to quantity?
Quantity's gonna decrease.
Quantity is going to decrease, no question, because both curves shifted left. So quantity equilibrium must decrease. So let's put a lower number there.
3.
Okay, 4K, that's fine. All right. So now we see quantity decreasing, but if both curves shift the same, now what's our area that we're going to have some challenges forecasting?
The price.
The price, absolutely. So, let's summarize it here. Let's put it here, SDPEQE. All right, and supply decreased, demand decreased, quantity equilibrium definitely decreased, but price, let's put a little question mark there, okay? Let's put a little question mark there, because we don't know for sure about our equilibrium price. In his scenario, it looks like price went down a little bit, which would mean he shifted demand more than supply, or consumers reacted more. But again, you could have drawn the same scenario and it actually gone up a little if you shifted supply more. In reality, supply would not shift more than demand in this particular scenario. So it would either stay pretty close to the same or come down a little bit, all right? But we've got it good, we've identified an area that we're gonna have trouble forecasting, and everything else looks good, okay? Now, in this one here, it was our quantity that was questionable, right? So let's be sure to put a question mark on our quantity as well. Okay? All right. Any questions on what we're doing? You do need to analyze each side separately every time, okay? To get an accurate forecast. All right. So we've now pretty much covered for some of you and for macro, and now I'd like to do 2 more to make sure I cover for micro as well, and that way we've got for everybody. All right, so I just need 2 more. I want to do pacemakers, and I want to do speed boats, okay? Pacemakers and speed boats.
Speed bullets?
Speed boats. Boats, okay? All right, so somebody, do you like pacemakers? All right, we're gonna bring Justin back up because he likes pacemakers. It's on the video, right? Start here. Yeah, we need to do that. Let's see. Can you see him? Wait a minute, wait till he settles down. Can we see him?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so you go ahead and put pacemakers up there. And we're gonna have the same scenario, I think. All right, do we like that graph?
What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with the graph? It's a P. Okay, he's testing you. Very good. All right. Price, quantity, supply, and demand. All right, we need a PE and a QE because I have no clue. I think there's several $100s or maybe even 1,000.
Wait, what do we go for?
Them itself is like 100,000, counting the period of 2.
Let's do the insurance, after insurance, what does the consumer pay?
Just the pacemaker itself, a few thousand, I don't know. I don't know, so let's just put PE and QE.
$4,000.
Yes, could very well be. All right, new article, 10% death rate with this particular pacemaker. Who demands pacemakers?
Old people.
No. No, old people don't demand pacemakers. Who demands pacemakers? Do they put them in themselves?
Physicians?
Yes, hospitals and physicians would demand pacemakers.
We're gonna make this prescription, or are we not gonna make this prescription?
Okay, so now, is this an acceptable in the medical community?
No.
10% death? No, no, absolutely not, okay? So what's gonna happen to the demand of these
It's
pacemakers?
definitely gonna shift left.
Degree.
Yes, it's going to go down. All right, so go ahead and shift our, change of marker. And here's your favorite one, and go ahead and shift them in, all right? Yes. All right, supply. What are they gonna naturally do if they find this statistic in this particular
Cut back
device?
on supply.
Okay, they're gonna recall that supply that's already out there, right? So what's gonna happen to our supply?
shift left.
And shift left. Okay, very good.
You wanna do different markers?
That's fine. All right, so once again, we have both curves going in the same direction, and what's gonna be our question mark?
Price.
Price, absolutely, okay, price can be our question mark, and what's gonna happen to our quantity?
It's going to decrease.
It's going to decrease, okay, for our new equilibrium.
That's cool. It's confusing.
Now, another possibility, just to throw this out there, is that this could be a problem. It's not just a recall for what's defective. This could be a problem that this particular manufacturer doesn't know what's wrong, doesn't know how to fix it. Then what's likely to happen when that's a problem? Yeah, it's possible that we could lose this particular manufacturer, and that would be shown with the supply curve shifting all the way off, right?
So
So that's
kind of
another
like
possibility.
that, like I.
Yes, exactly, and then there would be no equilibrium, okay? So that's essentially what would happen if any manufacturer, for whatever reason, had to close down their business, okay? Supply would just disappear off of the graph. All right, very good. Let's do one more real quick. Let's look at some speedboats, okay? And then you'll have a good bit to study from. You should have a really good, understanding there. Somebody do speedboats? Come on, you see how easy it is. You just have to draw a line. Somebody come on
You just
down.
sit here.
Good. It's attendance and participation. Let's go.
No, I'm sorry, you sit up there and do it.
All right, let's see if we can get it right here. My new camera person. Can you see D here?
I can.
All right.
But there's a
Did you need to shift it a little bit?
It's good.
It's good, okay. All right, now we need, actually we need a PE and a QE. Go ahead and do it in black and then we can do everything else in red. Okay, how much are boats?
10K.
5K. That's big.
I think they're a little more than that, yeah.
Guys, more than 10K?
That's
Oh, wow.
It's about 80?
80?
80,000?
For speedboat?
Yeah. It's not a lot of. All right, and then speedboats sold in the industry, probably gonna be a little bit less than cars, right? So how many do we wanna sell?
5K.
How about like 400, okay? Let's make it a little smaller than our car industry. So go ahead and put 400 for our quantity. All right, scenario. Again, you have to analyze both sides for whatever's happening. Scenario 1. New planning commission opens up more channel markers, access to waterways. So more channel markers are opened up with access to waterways. Okay, that's one scenario. At the same time or thereabouts, we also have got the patent approval for a new top coat polymer that goes on much quicker and makes the production much faster. Okay? So what are we going to do?
Supply's gonna go up.
As well as demand.
All right, I hear supply will do what?
Move, right?
Okay, supply will increase. And why is supply increasing?
Because it's faster to build.
All right, because anything that makes it less expensive or more productive, supply will shift right. Very good. And what's going to happen with demand?
Will it increase as well?
And why is that?
Because of
The
the
new-
more ways to get onto the water.
Okay, yeah. Easier access to water might encourage those people on the fence about buying a boat to go ahead and make that move. So yes, demand would most likely increase as well. All right, so we've got them both shifting right. Everyone agree?
Yeah.
All right, so you just put over here S, D, P, E, Q, E. So you got supply going right, you got demand going right, perfect.
Cute.
Cutie. All right, so now we need a new equilibrium, and we're at? You got it. Perfect example, yes, okay. And so now you do have to change that one.
Alright, let's see.
So now, we've got demand going right, supply going right. Is there any question what's gonna happen to equilibrium quantity?
No, I don't think.
No, it's gonna do what?
Increase.
Increase, good, as he's got from 400 to 500, so put an increase there. And our questionable area is, once again,
Price.
price, okay? This time they're both going right, last time it was both left, but that's gonna be your questionable area there. Now, he shifted it exactly symmetrical, right? So he shifted it exactly symmetrical, no change in price. Again, depending on how you shifted it, depending on who reacted more, the price could go up or down. All right? Any questions on that? All right. Thank you very much for your participation.
Bye, class. Bye-bye.